This podcast is sponsored by our SA Rock and Metal Fans Facebook page.
Strap yourself in, because we're set up, switched on, and ready to go.
Ale, how's it going?
Hey there, how are you?
Oh, all good, man, all good. You struggled a bit there, but we were in. We were doing it finally.
You know, I found the Zoom app on my computer. I already had this all downloaded and everything. That's why I thought that was weird that I had to download that, you know?
It's probably got something to do with they've had quite a few updates recently, so maybe that's why.
Yeah, you know, I had no idea that I had this Zoom app already. I wasn't aware that I had it, but I guess I did. I had already downloaded it from before. I think it's probably from the time I had that interview with Duzzy, and I had downloaded this app already. So that saved me a lot of time right now. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have to download this. It's gonna take forever, you know.
Ale, well, let's get down to it, man. Welcome to Talk to Trev, and it's it's so good to have you on the podcast, man. We went through some rescheduling quite a few times, and above everything else, how's your mom doing? Is she much better now, eh?
Oh yeah, she's a lot better. You know, she had that time that we scheduled the interview the first time. She had food poisoning from bad seafood, you know.
Oh.
Yeah. So she's a lot better now. And she got a lot better after like maybe 2 weeks of kind of like being sick and bedridden. So she's a lot better. She got back up and, you know, just started going back to work after 2 weeks of that. She was kind of
well, at least she's better. That's the main thing, man. I'm glad to hear that.
She took care of herself very well for 2 weeks, and then she just got back up again, you know.
I mean, let's get the real thing out the way now. And how's everybody coping and surviving with the pandemic?
You know, it's pretty rough down here in Los Angeles, you know. California, it's just it's a rough situation, to be honest with you. You know, it's overwhelming, I think, in the aspect where there's just so many cases, and you know, there's a lot of deaths and stuff like that, and then we found out a little while ago, I don't know in how many parts of the world, there's like there's a strain that's even more contagious, like 70% more contagious now of the virus.
And it comes from South Africa.
Does it really?
Yeah. That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. I mean, you know, it's typical South Africans to have a stronger strain than everybody else.
I had no idea that that's what the case was, or that's what it was. You know, I had no idea that's where it was coming from. But wherever, it doesn't even matter where it's coming from. The point is that it's like, it's here, you know?
Yeah.
So, so now, you know, we just have to be even more careful, really careful, and just be more cautious, because it's apparently the virus mutated, and there's like, you know, that strain now, and it's like, apparently it's like 70% more contagious. So I think it's just a matter of isolating a lot. Like, that's what I've been doing a lot as well.
Does that affect the whole recording sort of stuff that you do, or is it pretty much not really much of a difference?
Well, it does in a way. It does, because you know, there's still studios that are up and functioning and recording and all that. But and I was doing that. I was recording at like my neighbor's studio. We were recording drum tracks with my drummer and all that. Just a few months ago, but after I found out that things were getting worse, you know, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna have to isolate for a while, you know, with myself, and just record everything on my own and program drums and all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So So I actually just like maybe 6 months ago, I bought a new computer. So I put in a ton of software into it, virtual instruments and all that stuff.
Okay.
And so I've just been programming the drums for the last few months. The last maybe 2-3 months, I've been programming drums into whatever material that I'm any new material that I'm working on. I've just been programming drums and just trying to stay isolated, as much as possible.
Yeah, it's not exactly an easy thing to do, I would imagine, in LA with everything that's what is LA? I mean, that's one of the questions I wanted to actually ask is what is life like in LA? Not necessarily under COVID, but is it what we picture it to be like when you see the Hollywood movies and stuff?
That's just like probably, in my opinion, maybe a very slight, portion of what really of what it's really like.
I mean, I have to say that I've had the privilege of actually driving through LA before, and I saw the darker side of LA, and it's not pretty.
You know what? That's interesting because I wrote a song for our new album, Omnipresent Part 1, and I wrote a song specifically about that. And the song's called These Streets, and it's coming out soon. But are you on Instagram by any chance?
I am, yes. Yeah.
Okay, if you really want to know what the real Los Angeles is like, or at least like a really big portion of it, or a very direct aspect of it, like in your face direct, right? I would suggest you go on Instagram and you type in it's called, here, hold on, I'm searching for it right now. It's called The Real Los Angeles, and they have an Instagram page dedicated to this question that you just asked.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's called the real underscore Los underscore Angeles. Just type in the real Los Angeles and it'll pop up.
It'll pop up, yeah. Okay, yeah. I mean, I wasn't all that enamored, and we had family with us, and driving through the the 6 wide lanes and the 8 wide lanes, and seeing the people living under the underpasses, and it kind of shocked me, but really not really all surprising, because there's such a huge disparity between the haves and the have-nots, so I'm not.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Go on.
No. Go on, please.
I was just gonna say, because you brought that up, I was just gonna say, Los Angeles has the biggest amount of homeless people in the world, I think, actually, from what I know. Yeah, we have our homelessness problem is massive. Aside from that, the glitz, the glamour, Hollywood, all that stuff, that's just a very small portion of what it's really like. But I think that's what it's recognized for the most, is show business,
But I find it interesting why is it like that? Not all the glitz and the glamour, but the more the downtrodden side, the hard people that, the people that are living hard lives and stuff. Is it because people are coming to LA and trying to find, that golden ticket, as it were, to become famous, rich, and all that stuff?
I think that there's a lot of truth in what you're saying. I used to do background acting for a while here in LA. I'm actually a native LA Angelino. I've lived here all my life. I was born and raised here, specifically East Los Angeles, in a town called Boyle Heights.
Okay.
And I'll tell you right now, when I used to do background acting for a while, I would just chuckle every time I overheard someone say they were here to make it, or they were here to, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. And that's all great. You should have those ambitions, you definitely should have that mindset.
But have a plan B.
Well, here's the thing. I think in my opinion, my experience, because I'm from here and it's been my backyard forever, I think a lot of the people that come over from different countries or different states, like let's say in the U.S., they come to LA, they come to California, specifically Los Angeles. I think that they eventually become disillusioned in a way, because of the, because then they end up discovering that other side of Los Angeles. That's like, it's a very gritty, dangerous, hard life, in LA. And I think that they become discouraged. But you see, the thing is that whether you become discouraged or disillusioned, it's really up to that individual to write it out, to have the strength to say, okay, I see how it really is, and I see what I got myself into, but I'm just gonna keep going.
Yeah, push on through. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's what really it's all about. I think that goes for anywhere or any situation in life.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're spot on. Yeah, I think that's 100%. Absolutely. But let's get away from life in LA and let's talk about the sound of LA. So.
Oh yeah, no worries. Yeah, sure.
let's talk about your music, man. I mean, this is what it's all about. We're not a city program or anything like that.
Whatever you want to talk about, man, I'm open to it.
Okay, let's go for it then, because I didn't hear all that much when we first set up the first meeting for the podcast. I ran through some of the stuff that Duzzy had sent through to me and your bio and all that sort of thing. But
yeah,
having played it a couple of times, if you were playing it to a first-time listener, what would you describe the sound of LA is?
Okay, so I get asked this question a lot. And
damn it, just when I thought I was being clever. Damn. See, doesn't pay to be clever.
No, you're doing great. You're doing great. That's a great question, to be honest with you. But, because I've been asked it quite a few times before, I think the most accurate description of our sound and our music, I have to say, I usually just sum it up by saying rock, electronic, bilingual. And the reason why I use those three genres and categories, specifically within rock music, is because I think within those three genres, I think they're very direct and they're very to the point. I think, and then not only that, there's so much you can do within those three genres, which is rock music, electronic music, and the fact that we're a bilingual band. We have songs in English and in Spanish. Yeah. So I think every time, whenever I get asked that, I just say rock, electronic, bilingual, because there's so much you can do, like I said, and I think it sums up.
Basically, is this like a and forgive me if I'm wrong here, forgive me if I'm wrong, and please correct me. Is this like Latino Hispanic rock?
Yeah, well, yeah, because I'm Mexican.
Mexican, right. Okay.
Yeah, well, Mexican. I was born in the U.S., but my family is from Mexico, and specifically a small town near Guadalajara, Jalisco. So, my mother's Mexican and I'm Mexican, and our family's Mexican.
I think it's a great fusion, to be honest with you, because I think you got the best of both worlds, to be honest. Because after listening to it, I was like, man, I really kind of dig this. And I was trying to sort of like, when I was thinking about that question, if you had to describe it to a first-time listener, I was going, well, how would you describe it if you were playing LA's music to somebody new? And I was kind of going like, well, it's kind of experimental. It's got multiple layers and genres. It's got different styles and feels, like 80s, 90s rock, jazz, fusion, pop, even. It's a whole mix of stuff in there. And one of the songs that really stood out to me was the drop from Dimensions. That's a great track. I mean, that just pretty much sums it up.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, going back to what we were talking about before I get to that, basically, I didn't want to put any limits on this project. I didn't want any limitations. I didn't want anything holding us back, or I didn't want it to, you know, I've been in a few bands in the past, way back in the past, and I didn't want to I've learned a lot, you know. I didn't want to say, okay, we can do this, but we can't do this.
Mm.
I just wanted to say, okay, we're gonna put everything on the table, whether it's English, Spanish, whatever, you know. And we've played various genres throughout our albums, because personally I'm a big believer in evolving as an artist for every single album, every single release in that sense. I'm a big fan of people who can do that, you know, artists who do that every single album, you know, like David Bowie.
Mm.
I think Madonna's more like pop, obviously, in a
Yeah.
sense, but she's very great at doing that as well, you know, evolving and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
I think
But
it's important for an artist, particularly a musician, to keep evolving, because the worst thing you could possibly do is just stay stagnant. And people
yeah,
forget
you
you
know,
eventually. You just get lost in the mire.
well, you know, it works for some people when they stay, when they keep their style in the same way for like for
Unless
their
you're
whole career.
AC/DC, you can do whatever
Yeah,
the hell
yeah.
you want.
You know, you see, that's a great example of someone like a band like AC/DC or like the Ramones. You know, bands like that. You know, they make it work because that's their thing. That's what they become known for, and people love them for that. You know,
Yeah.
um, me personally, I think that art and music and anything artistic, I think that the more the evolution, the better. That's just my opinion on that. I think we evolve as humans. Obviously, we have to continue evolving, and I think that our music, our art, should do the same. That's just how I see it.
How
You know,
is the music industry handling COVID?
you know. Okay, so everything's shut down over here. Obviously, like in most parts of the world.
Yeah.
You know, all the clubs are closed, or at least most of the. I mean, I think there was like very few bars or clubs that remained open a few months ago, but nothing like, it was nothing big time. You know, you can have a lot of people in there and stuff. But now, I'm pretty sure most of everything's shut down in that sense. So there's
Mm.
no live performances. There's no live performances. You know, I've also come to learn and realize through this lockdown that because I do miss performing, but I realize that as long as I'm doing something creatively with music or just writing in general, I'm actually happy. I'm satisfied with that, you know.
Yeah.
Again, I do miss live performance a lot. I miss performing, but I'm actually happy just recording and creating. I'm realizing that even though I love live performances, I'm pretty content with just creating in the studio, and as long as I'm getting this music onto recordings and stuff like that.
Mm. I mean, talking about playing live and so on. Uh, this is a two-piece band. It's a massive sound for a two-piece band in a studio. How do you do this live?
Okay, great. I'm glad you asked that. That's a very good question, because you're probably one of the only I think you're like one of the first to actually notice that um that we're a two-piece in that sense, and you know, we have so much going on as
Mm.
well. So that's a great question. Well, you know, I'm a recording engineer. I've been a recording engineer since late 2007, early 2008. And You know, I basically take all my recording engineering skills that I've obtained throughout the years, and knowledge that I've learned either on my own or passed on by certain people. And you know, I just incorporated, transferred all into live situations.
Right.
So I program everything from my recordings, I program everything, make sure everything's leveled right, and just transfer it to live situations. So basically, we have a sampler. For live performances, and that is, if you mix everything properly and everything's leveled at least like at a decent level,
Yeah.
You can get a really great sound and from this mixer that we use live. Not a mixer, a sampler.
Yeah.
So basically live, it's just me on guitar and lead vocals and my drummer basically.
Right. Roro.
But yeah, Roro Lowfish, correct. Thank you for doing your research. That's great.
Absolutely, yeah. Hell, this wouldn't be much of a podcast if I didn't do a bit of research.
No, I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Not a problem, man.
So anyway, so what, continuing what I was saying, basically, it's just a matter of incorporating all my recording engineering skills to live situations. And if we have a club that we're going to perform at, and the sound system is an excellent sound system, that's even better, because we have all the elements, either electronic elements or instrumentation, pre-recorded instrumentation coming out of the PA system.
Mm-hmm.
So the sampler basically feeds into the PA system, and like I said, if you have a good mix and everything is coming out decent, you can pull off a lot of things. And a lot of, I've heard this thing where some people consider that kind of like quote unquote cheating. You know what I mean? Like I think someone, I won't name any names, but someone who's quite popular in a metal band mentioned you have to have, they suggest that Ticketmaster or like Live Nation start putting details in their ticket stubs where it mentions, this band is using sampling, and there's a lot of stuff there is a lot of stuff that is not actually live, so and this person went on to say, because we believe the consumer should know specifically the truth about these live situations, right?
I would just tell the guy to shut the hell up and just go to the show and have a fucking good time. That's what I would say, man.
Okay, now you see, bingo right there, bingo. Now the thing is that now the thing is that aside from what you just said, because that's exactly how I feel.
Yeah.
Aside from that, you also have to realize that there's no such thing as cheating in music. This isn't a game, this isn't a football game, like there's no such thing as cheating in music. It's like, I've never
heard so much bullshit like that. I've just heard now. That's absolute bloody nonsense. What an idiot.
Oh, now let me ask you, Trev. What is your opinion on that? Why do you think that's BS? Why would you?
Oh, you can swear if you want to, man. This is an adult podcast. Okay. It's absolutely fine.
Why do you think that's bullshit, Trev? Why do you think that's bullshit?
I'll tell you why it's bullshit. Okay, I used to be a musician. I've spoken to many musicians, right? There are things that cannot be done in terms financially of getting somebody to play a violin or something. You remember these people, you've got to pay a musician for turning up to play 30 seconds in a song. Now, that takes away from your pocket, and everything else, the venue and your merchandise or whatever the case may be. You're going there for an experience. You're not going there to be 150,000% sitting with your glasses and a notepad taking notes. No, you're not. You're a fucking not want to be a fucking journalist, man. You're going there to have have a couple of beers with your mates and just have a fucking good time, and that's it. Enjoy the music. That's the whole point. It's enjoyment.
You know what? Everything you just said is exactly what I'm thinking about that type of situation, that comment that was made by this specific musician, right?
Who was it? I want to know who it was.
Here's the thing.
I want to know now, man.
It was actually it was the guitarist for Anthrax. That's who it was.
Scott Ian?
Yeah, it was him. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he mentioned that it was him. There's an article on it. You can Google it. But when in much respect. Well, here's the thing. Listen. That's his opinion, and I respect it. But
yeah,
I just don't agree with it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, I respect his opinion. I just don't agree with it.
Yeah, exactly.
And
that's the kind of world we live in. You got your opinion. Well,
yeah,
fuck, I think it sucks.
And you know what?
Whatever.
But you know what? I respect his opinion because we all have opinions, and it doesn't necessarily mean that we're always going to agree. But in my experience, and I'm going to tell you why I agree with everything you just said about that is, listen, man, I've dealt with so much trying to replace band members, trying to keep steady band members. And you know what? We're in 2021 now, man, and technology has really, really advanced and has really changed. So I said, I just said to myself, you know what, man, I'm tired of dealing with like all these band members, meaning I'm tired of having to replace everyone all the freaking time, whether it's because they're not being professional, or because they they found other projects, and more power to them. I respect that. No hard feelings, right?
You know what I would say back to Scott Ian if he had to say that to me? I would say to him, so what are you gonna say to Metallica? You must put on your tickets, this does not include Cliff Burton because he died in 1986. You know what I mean? It's so fucking stupid.
That's a good one.
I mean, imagine if
Scott
Ian's drummer dies, and say, sorry, this is not the real Anthrax, but we have got a new drummer because the previous drummer's dead. That's fucking horseshit. His thing was the point he was trying to make was that he was referring more to sampling, actually. If it's not live, if it's not. If he's not, basically what he was saying, if it's not being performed live right then and there, that there should be some kind of warning or some kind of, some kind of so you got to downgrade your set and the experience just to please. No, okay, this is a fucking rabbit hole, man. This could get really sort of deep.
So like I was saying, so the reason why I decided to just because we had a bass. I used to hire bass players and stuff like that, and so we've had bassists in the band before, a few. Yeah. So, but there's just so many inconsistencies, and there's so much that you have to deal with in terms of making sure everything is on point, making sure everything's ready, making sure everyone's prepared, and all these things, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? Like I said, we're in 2021. Technology is has completely advanced. I'm just gonna go ahead and keep this as a 2-piece, and my drummer is super. Roro is super professional. He's always on point. He's literally
got a massive sound, man. Jeez.
Oh, he takes a really, really he takes a lot of weight off my back. I got to tell you, and he takes a lot of stress off my back. And on top of that, I just decided to program everything into a sampler for live situations so that I don't have to worry about anything else. It's just me and him.
This is a question, Ale, and phone up Scotty and ask him this, man, because this has really got me going now. And this is, do they have intro music before they come out on stage for their first number? If they do, why is it not live?
Wait, I'm sorry. Okay, what's going on here?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, if Anthrax come out to play, and before they head out on stage, have they got intro music? To build up the hype and everything like that before they come out and play their first song? If so, if they've got intro music, where is the band playing the intro music?
Correct.
But anyway,
so
geez.
No, I agree. Now, the thing is, we're totally, for the record, we're totally not trying to, bash on.
Oh hell no! I'm not a huge Anthrax fan. But that just, I think it's just Oh, it's just so fucking
But it's
stupid.
interesting because it's interesting to see different people's different musicians' opinions on stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Like when I read that article, I thought that was very interesting, even though I didn't agree with it. I thought it was interesting because, you know, some people consider that like cheating in a way. And personally, they always say that music is not a sport. So if that's the case, if music isn't a sport, then there's no such thing as cheating, then, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. But
So,
we digress, and that's fine. So let's just go through the 4 releases that you have had
sure.
chronologically. Go for it.
Oh yeah. Okay. So there's Acoustic Noise, and that was released, I believe, somewhere in 2011, I think. Acoustic Noise is still not on digital platforms such as Spotify,
Right.
or it's not on our Bandcamp yet because I never got to master it, so I'm trying to get it mastered, and hopefully I can do that soon and get it up on like DistroKid so I can put it on all digital platforms. But Acoustic Noise is one of them. That was like early stuff that I worked on, very, very early stuff I worked on. And it was just me in my studio. And a lot of that stuff is either acoustic or like acoustic electronic.
Right.
So, and then there's Irregular Heartbeat. Irregular Heartbeat came out in 2014, I believe. Yeah. And that was more like, that was more rock with like a lot of Latin elements as well.
Yeah, my favorite track of that album was Firelight. Love that
You know
song.
what? Thank you. I appreciate that, and that seems to be a track that a lot of people like, and that album is more rock, traditional rock with certain songs that have like Latin elements, a lot of Latin vibes, but. Yeah, that was 2014, and that was a while back. And then we move on to Dimensions. Dimensions was 2000, I think, 17. It was either 2017 or 2018. I can't remember at the moment.
2017, yeah.
Yeah, but Dimensions came out after Regular Heartbeat, and I really went all out for that album. Actually, I really, really went all out. I was aiming for 20 special guests on the album, and I ended up having 18.
Okay.
So we almost got to 20 special guests, but I ended up having 18 special guests and 12 songs. We had various special guests on that album from around the LA area. There was also certain special guests that are from different countries and stuff like that.
Okay.
So that came out, and that's where The Drop is on. That the Drop is actually one of the singles from that album.
Love that song, man. Oh, love
and you know
that
what?
song.
Believe it or not. Speaking of that song, we were actually in the middle of working on a music video for The Drop. This last in November, or October, somewhere around October or November. We were actually we filmed like a good amount of the video for The Drop, and we just didn't get to complete it because things got worse with the virus. So
Right.
we decided to take a break and isolate.
Is this going to be released eventually?
Eventually, we just don't know when, because we had to put everything on pause.
Yeah.
So we had to put everything on pause for that, but definitely there will be a video for The Drop later on
Awesome.
sometime.
I'll keep an eye out on that one for sure.
Yeah, and then after that and then we did the Blessings EP in 2019, I believe it was, that it came out. The Blessings EP came out in 2019, I believe, and that's a 6-song EP. And that EP specifically was mastered on analog tape. Yeah, and the reason for that is because I wanted to write an EP where I was just giving thanks to for everything that had happened in my life at that moment. I had a lot of. I personally felt very blessed. To be in a 4-year relationship with someone, and then I was also I've always felt very blessed, especially with having an amazing, phenomenal mother, and I never got the chance to put any of that into my music, so I finally decided to write the Blessings EP, and Roro Lowfish plays drums on any of the songs that have actual real drums on them.
Nice.
So he's on that album as well. And so anyway, but I wanted to make sure that before anything, I was able to give thanks through that entire EP, because I never got the chance to do that with any of my songs or any of my music. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna write an EP just to give thanks to everything, because I'm super blessed, and I just wanted to make sure that I put that onto audio.
Absolutely. Yeah. And
so
it's there for everybody to hear and forevermore, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I wanted to. Oh, and another thing is that we mastered it on audio tape. I'm sorry, on analog tape. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
So we mastered it on analog tape, and I wanted that specifically because I remember during the process of writing that EP, I specifically remember feeling like, okay, this has a very kind of like a soulful, like a very soulful, intimate vibe. This batch of songs. So why don't we just master this on analog tape to give it an even more like lush, kind of like old school vibe in a way, right?
Is there a huge difference though?
There is not a huge. I wouldn't say there is a huge difference, but there is a difference.
So the audio files will be able to pick that up. Like they can hear the difference.
Well, here's the thing. The thing about that is we recorded it on digital, but we mastered it on analog, right?
Oh, okay.
See, so it wasn't recorded on analog. It was
right.
just mastered on analog. But
right.
what happened? What I noticed happened in the process was that the digital aspect of it got like this really lush sound at the end. So even though we recorded it all digital in Pro Tools, that analog mastering process gave it like a very luscious sound with like a somewhat of an kind of like an amplification, like amplified feel. It amplified it really well. It amplified it really well as well as like made it very lush too.
Okay.
So yeah, so that came out, and then now in 2020, throughout the entire year, I worked on, to stay busy from the pandemic. I started working on. I already had pieces of music for our new album, which is Omnipresent Part 1, and I started working on Omnipresent Part 1 as soon as I was done with the Blessings EP. So that was already in the works. But as soon as the pandemic hit, I decided, I'm just gonna go full blast on this.
Is this going to be like a concept album, Omnipresent Part 1? Particularly with the Part 1, is there going to be a Part 2 and so on?
Yeah, it's somewhat of a concept album. Somewhat, I can't really say if it's like a like totally a concept album, but it is somewhat of a concept album. Like there is a particular aspect of it that's a concept album.
Okay.
So I just like to say it's somewhat of a concept.
Somewhat. We'll just keep you in suspense until then. So what is the release date? I mean, do we have a release date yet for that?
Yeah, it's the whole entire album is due in either March or April of this year.
Okay, great.
And to be honest with you, we've been releasing tracks from it all over social media. We just haven't released it on all digital media platforms like YouTube or Bandcamp or Spotify or anything like that yet.
Right.
but we've been releasing it on Facebook and on Instagram and all that. There's like 3 more songs that are on the way. I just have to complete them. But they're basically almost done. Like there's like three songs left for me to complete on vocal recordings. And then we release the entire album on Bandcamp and all digital platforms sometime in March or April, depending on how busy we get, you know. But yeah, that's that. And then we're gonna work on a part 2 as well.
Wow,
Eventually.
already.
Yeah, I like to. This is just how I work, you know. To be honest with you, my lifestyle was completely different when I was younger, but now I think the older I get, the more I realize how time is of the essence, and it must not be wasted, you know.
Absolutely
And,
correct. Yep.
Yeah, and I think it also has to do with just, you know, changing as a person, evolving as a person, and I think productivity, being productive is like it's so addicting to me these days, you know. I wish I could you know, I wish I could be in the gym at this point as much as I am in the studio. I miss the gym, to be honest with you. And I miss you know, the reason I'm pointing that out is because I want to make sure that I spend enough time on physical fitness as much as I've spent on writing music.
And on mental fitness too. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you know, and I'm telling you, man, you know, I'm trying to work on my physical fitness as much as I do on my music, but there's just only a certain amount of hours in a day, you know, because you know,
you don't want to burn yourself out just yet.
You know, 8 to 10 hours. I love to sleep. Don't get me wrong. I like, you know, the reason I bring that up is because like for at least for 8 hours, you know, I'm sleeping. So, you know, I only have a certain amount of hours left after I'm sleeping. You know, if, on a decent day, I get 8. If I'm burned out, I go for like 9 to 10 if I'm burned out, you know?
Right. So
yeah.
let's just talk about this whole time thing now, because I want to find out, how did you, at what point in life did you say like, well, that's it, I'm going to be a musician? You know, were you surrounded by music, or was there a flair for it already?
Oh, you know, well, here the thing about that is that I grew up, you know, I started with a drum set at like 3 years old. Wow. And yeah, and what happened with that was I got that drum set from my aunt and my mother. And because I wanted a drum set for some reason, I really wanted a drum set at 3 years old, and then between me and my neighbor, my neighbor friend at the time when I was really young, between us, we destroyed the drum. It was like a mini little drum set, right? We destroyed that drum set within like 3 or 4 days, you know. So then I was really like, so then I got really sad about that because, you know, I had no drum set, right? So eventually I forgot about the drum set and I got a skateboard. I started skating. I was really into skateboarding when I was young, like really young. So, and then somewhere around 7 or 8 years old, my uncle Lewis, who was actually, he's like, he is one of my uncles who pursued music professionally for a while.
Right. Okay.
And he was, you know, he was doing that, and he got me a Casio keyboard in the 80s, right? This was in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like 7 or 8. So he got me a Casio keyboard. It was really popular at the time, and I remember thinking like, wow, this is really cool. So I started messing around with this Casio keyboard, and I remember thinking to myself like, wow, this has great stuff on it. It has great sounds, produces great sounds. I love the experimentation. You know, I love how you can just press this and this will come out. The sound will come out. I love the concept of a keyboard. But you know what? It just was not doing it for me the way the drum set was, right?
Right.
And I figured, okay, well, I'll keep messing with this keyboard just every now and then, you know? Because, you know, it didn't really capture me, you know?
Yeah.
But I still liked it. I still enjoyed it. And so eventually, so then the time went by, you know, and eventually I got to 12 years old, and my mother at 12 years old for Christmas was like, okay, before Christmas, she was like, so, oh, no, I'm sorry, not Christmas, my birthday. I'm confusing the dates here. Not Christmas, my birthday. She says to me, so, okay, your 12th birthday is going to come up. Okay, what are you going to want? And she said, and whatever it is, if it's going to be an instrument, if that's what you're going to want, she's like, you're going to have to stick to it. Like, no ifs or buts. You're going to really have to stick to it, right? And at the time, I was heavily, like, super deep into Nirvana. And that was actually one of the first bands that really just really captured my heart, you know. And I remember my friend who basically got me into Nirvana, also was he was 6 years older than me. His parents used to babysit me, right?
Okay.
And we would hang out. We'd play video games all the time and all that stuff. And he took me to my first concert when I was 12, and he was a few years older. He took me to my first. He was like 6 years, I think like 6 or 8 years old or something like that. He took me to my very first concert, which was 9 Inch Nails and David Bowie.
Wow.
In 1995, Halloween night at the Great Western Forum here in Los Angeles, right? So my very first concert was David Bowie and 9 Inch Nails, and that blew my mind, you know. But also at the same time, I was really into Nirvana, you know. So, so I've always had this mixture in my life, in my early childhood, of rock guitar, but at the same time, synthesizers and electronic.
Right.
You know,
it's starting to make
music.
a lot of sense now. Yeah.
Yeah. So in my childhood, you know, that was like that cross genre that just consumed my childhood, which was rock guitar, heavy guitar, and like just electronic elements, you know. So I think that's basically where it all stems from. But going back to the story of getting that guitar at 12 years old, so I told my mother immediately when she asked me what I wanted. I said I wanted an electric guitar, you know. And my mother has always been super supportive of me in that aspect. You know, she's always been 150% supportive. You know, she always pushed me hard. So as soon as I got my electric guitar, she was like, okay, listen, she's like, you know, you're going to have to practice every single day. You're going to have to do this. You're going to have to do that. And she didn't have to tell me twice, because I already wanted to be consumed by it, you know? And, you know, but there was times where I really wanted to give up, you know, because I couldn't play anything, you know. I could not play how my mind had envisioned me playing guitar, right? So I would really get upset, and she would be like, and she would push me even harder, you know. She would be like, no, this is what's gonna happen, this is how you're gonna do this, get back to it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man, jeepers. That's the kind of support you actually need.
Yeah, no, seriously, you know, that is, I cannot explain, or I cannot stress enough how vital it is to have someone like that in your life when you're pursuing a passion.
Yeah.
You know, especially through childhood, through when you're very young. You know, I cannot stress enough how vital that is to have someone like that. You know.
Well, kudos to your mom for pushing you, man. That's excellent.
Oh, yeah, I thank her all the time. You know, and like if it wasn't for her, I probably would have given up, like maybe years ago.
Yeah.
Meaning while I was learning guitar, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so when I got that guitar, I became consumed by it. I was practicing like at least 3 to 4 hours a day. I'd come home from school, I'd lock myself in my room, and I would literally play for 3 to 4 hours a night. and then just fall asleep with my guitar. I'm not kidding. You know, and then I'd go to school, come back, do the same thing. I was just obsessed. You know, I was obsessed, and I think that's what you need to be. Like, I think a lot of musicians or people that try to pursue music, I think that they need to become obsessed with whatever it is that they're interested in, whatever instrument.
Healthy obsessed, yeah.
Yeah, you know, well, you know, and sometimes to the point, I'll be honest with you, like there was sometimes where I would even forget to eat, you know, like I was like, oh yeah, I haven't eaten in like 6 hours, you know, maybe I should take a break, you know, but seriously though, I think that when you're pursuing a passion, when you're pursuing something artistic, even if it's not artistic, but in this case it is, you really, really need to become extremely obsessed with whatever that is.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe focused is maybe the right word.
Yeah, you know, focused. In my listen. Well, here's the thing. I'm
You were obsessed. We'll just go there.
In my situation, I was definitely obsessed. You know,
you're fiercely focused and obsessed.
Yeah, and you know what? So in my early years of playing guitar, I was like, I wanted to be the best guitarist I could possibly be, but my priority changed somewhere around, I think like my mid-20s, somewhere around I started writing music though, somewhere around 16, and then I started performing somewhere around 19. But my priorities changed somewhere around my mid-20s, where I said, you know what, I am going to switch from trying to be the best guitarist I can be to trying to be the best songwriter I can be. You know? Yeah, that's when my priorities changed. I said, you know what, being a great guitarist is great and all that, like, meaning like at the time I was a lot better than I am now because I used to practice guitar a lot more back then than I do now. But I said, you know, I think that I love songwriting. I'm becoming very obsessed with songwriting. So I'm going to try to be just the best songwriter I can possibly be, and not focus so much on being the best guitarist that I can be.
Right.
You know?
Okay, well, it certainly shows that you've focused your attention on all aspects of music, and the songwriting is absolutely awesome. And we are now out of time. So, Ale, I think we've got a good idea of your music, the genres, the styles, the different feels, and everything like that. So thank you very much for taking the time to chat to me. And when that album, Omnipresent Part 1, is ready to be released, let's do this again and let's talk about it.
Yeah, you know, I will do that. And you know, my apologies for going on and on.
Not at all, man. That's what this is all about. Like I keep saying to everybody when I speak to them afterwards or before, everybody's got a story to tell, man.
You know, honestly, I'm running on 3 hours of sleep, no joke. And I think maybe my answers to those questions were a little too long, you know?
What time is it 9 LA now?
Right now it is 10 going on to be 11 right now.
In the morning?
10:53. It's 10:53.
10:53, yeah. Right. Okay, well, maybe get an afternoon nap, man.
Oh, thank you, man. You know what? I'm going to, because I was really I was organizing a ton of stuff last night here in the studio. So it wasn't until somewhere around 1 a.m. was like where I was like, I realized, oh, I have an interview with someone in South Africa that morning. You know, so yeah.
Well, it's been great to talk to you, LA, and I wish you all the best. And regards to your mum, and I'm glad she's better. And good luck with the album. And when it does come out, give me a shot, and let's do this again for sure.
Hey, Trev, thank you for your time, and thank you for everything else. I appreciate your time more than anything, and your interest. And you know, I hope everything's going okay over in South Africa. And please keep in touch. I would love to do this again.
Absolutely, will do. Keep well, LA, and have a good day, man.
You too, Trev. Thank you.
Alrighty, cheers.
Cheers.